I've been racing with the Fanatec CSL pedals for over a year now. I opted for the load cell pedal right at the start, knowing it would be the most impactful in terms of consistent lap times. The stiffness of the load cell pedal took some time to get used to, but overall I can say, for an entry-level pedal set, I've been fairly pleased with it, and to be honest, I've been a little apprehensive about upgrading. Of course, there's plenty of great pedal sets on the market, and surely several of them have to be better than Fanatec's entry level. But my builds have always been about immersion as much as they have performance, and since I prefer to race GT3, it was only fitting that the rig have a proper set of inverted pedals, so I decided to upgrade to the inverted V3s. This may seem like a ridiculous decision as the V3s were released 4 years prior to the CSL pedals and they cost 3 times as much. But today we're going to find out if that $600 price tag is still worth it almost 8 years after the V3 was released. And to start off, I want to talk about the build quality differences between the CSL pedals and the V3 pedals. According to Fanatec, the CSL pedals are made up of heavy steel. They utilize Hall sensors in both the gas and clutch pedal and a load cell in the brake. Interestingly enough, Fanatec doesn't give any specifics in the description as to the actual performance of the sensors, but with some research you'll find that the load cell is about 60 kilograms. I couldn't find much about the Hall sensors. They are slightly adjustable through the software, but any modifications or adjustments that you want to make on the actual hardware have to be done through disassembly using aftermarket parts. The inverted V3s, on the other hand, are designed primarily as CNC machined aluminum, and they feel as sturdy as they look. They utilize 12-bit Hall sensors in the clutch and gas pedal, and have a 90 kilogram load cell brake pedal. The brake and clutch pedal are top mounted, allowing for a realistic feel, and the brake pedal supports toolless adjustment for both stiffening the brake travel and altering the hydraulic feel of the pedal. The brake and gas pedal also have pre-installed vibrating feedback motors, and if you can't tell by looking at these two pedal sets, the V3s are definitely a step up or several above the CSLs. But how does that build quality translate in terms of performance? In racing with the CSL pedals, I always felt that they were pretty decent for the price, but they lacked the feeling of a proper pedal set. The gas pedal's a bit floppy and lacks the feeling with proper travel. The brake pedal, while fairly decent and firm, lacks range and can be a bit choppy in terms of applying pressure, and the clutch feel just feels like the gas pedal basically. It's very floppy. All in all, it's among the better entry-level options, but as expected, it's far from the top of the line. Now, the V3 experience differs quite a bit from the CSL, but I can't fully praise the V3s without first acknowledging the fact that they were released 8 years ago. There are other pedals in this price range that are competing directly with Fanatec that are newer and use more tech. The V3s are dated, they're way past due for an update, and they've got a few quirks. But are they still good? Yes. Honestly, yes. I would say they're a pretty good set of pedals. Now, first off with the gas pedal, I would say the stock spring is a little soft, but they do include a firmer spring that you can swap out. I chose to start out with the soft spring. I think I am going to upgrade to the firmer one. They're not bad in the current state, but I feel like long term and just having already kind of started to get used to the pedals, a little more back pressure, especially racing in racing shoes, which I don't do too often. I like to do it when I film videos and stuff like that. But racing in racing shoes and stuff, I would like a little more firmness in the gas. The clutch, honestly, was probably one of the more surprising things about this pedal set, just in the fact that it does actually have a point where you can feel the clutch engage, and it's a lot more prominent than your average pedal set for sim racing. And I just kind of like the way that feels. It feels like a real car. At some point you can feel that bite point and stuff in a real car. You don't necessarily get the bite point from these pedals, but you absolutely get a sense of I'm like at the end, but there's still a little bit of travel there. It's kind of hard to explain it, but if you've ever driven a standard vehicle, then you know what I mean about how that clutch feel should be versus what your average sim rig feels like. And for the brake pedal, of course, just like any brake pedal, being the most important pedal, or like the one that requires the most detail, took some tuning. You have two different options for just the initial settings on it. And one of the things that first off I had to figure out was exactly where I liked the pressure to be from the preload screw. which kind of determines how much pressure is required to push in the brake pedal. That took a little bit. What took more was on the dampening kit, just trying to figure out what felt right on the dampener to make the brake pedal feel properly hydraulic with no notchiness or anything. Because with the settings off, at some point I turned the hydraulic part up a little too much, and I felt a lot of notchiness and back pressure that you would never feel in a real car, and it actually significantly impacted my performance when trying to do hot laps in practice. So definitely getting the settings dialed in now. I feel really good about the brake pedal, and the whole setup is just, it feels nice. Another thing I think was done well with these pedals is just the inverted mounting. It feels like it pivots just like your normal car would. There's no abnormalities or anything weird with it. I'm not feeling any flex that shouldn't be there. Like, it definitely feels more immersive and more real than what I was used to before with the CSLs. And then, of course, there's the vibration motors that are attached to the gas and brake pedal, which is a feature. Of course, I like feedback, so I knew I was going to appreciate having the vibration feedback. What I didn't expect is that there would be an option that would actually help make me get used to these pedals faster. Now, first off, with the feedback in general, there is ABS feedback and wheel spin feedback. So if my wheels spin, I feel it in the gas pedal. If I lock up the brakes, I'm going to feel that in my brake pedal. But what I didn't expect to have is the option to adjust the brake level indicator, which basically I've set to 70%. So anytime I reach 70% brake pressure, that little motor is going to give me the feedback to let me know that I've reached 70%. And the reason I chose 70 is it's very rare that I brake that hard. And if I am at 70%, I definitely want to make sure I'm in a straight line, because that's a pretty significant amount of pressure, and you're more likely to lock up at those pressures. So being able to set that helped me get used to these pedals much quicker. And one thing that I clearly indicates that to me is, while I'm not necessarily moving extremely fast on this track because I am focused on talking right now, I am able to talk to the camera and run the course simultaneously. Whereas with any other pedal set I've had a hard time being able to focus and drive at the same time, because the pedals, especially when braking, required so much concentration just based on the pressure that was needed. And in this case, I think this is a great example of the pedal set working well, just by me being able to continue to carry on this video while racing around the track, albeit a little spotty here and there, and split focus and all that. This isn't necessarily a rehearsed part of the video. It was something where I wanted to really give my feedback as I was experiencing it. And the fact that I'm able to concentrate on two things at once while driving on the sim rig indicates to me that the pedals are a significant improvement over the previous set. I'm going to come around this corner here in a second and see if I can demonstrate the lockup. I don't believe you'll be able to hear the vibration on camera, but I would still like to give it a shot and just lock up the tires real quick and see how that radiates. So I'm going to come around this corner and I'm going to give it a hard lock. Like, I'm going to get it up to full speed and give it a hard lock. And I just want to, first off, because I haven't locked it at full speed, but second of all, I just really want to know if it'll translate in any way, shape, or form. So we'll go ahead and lock it up. Now, unfortunately, because I'm feeding the car audio in, it occurred to me that that probably isn't going to translate through. But just know that for the little motors that are on these pedals, it's actually quite impressive how much feedback that provides. All right, so I've been racing or practicing with these pedals, doing hot laps for a couple hours now, and I can definitively say they are better than the CSL pedals. I don't necessarily think that that makes them the best pedals in the price range, though. For me personally, I wanted something inverted, and I saved a few $100 on the pedals. If inverted isn't a priority for you, and you're just looking for a really good pedal set, there are probably a handful of great options out there that cost around the same or less. You could also spend a little bit more and probably get something a whole lot better. Uh, the P2000s come to mind when I think of like different options that might be better than these ones. So, just some things to consider. If you're getting a good deal on them, absolutely, they're awesome pedals. If you're not getting a good deal and you don't need inverted, then you might want to consider some of the other options out there. It's definitely worth doing your homework. Now, I didn't go full blown review on these pedals because I feel like after 8 years, they've been reviewed plenty of times. But at the same time, given that, it's 2024 and these pedals have been around for a while and we've had new stuff come out, I thought it was relevant to talk about how they compare today. Now, I'd love to be able to tell you guys what I'm going to do for the next video, but the truth is, so far that hasn't really worked out because a new opportunity seems to be coming up every week where I have a plan for something and then something new and better comes along and I feel like, oh, that's more relevant or more fun to talk about. So you know what? If you guys want to know what I'm going to do on the next video, you're just going to have to hit that subscribe button and find out. I'll see you guys next time.